Day 6 of Mad Art's Maladaptive Daydreaming Inspired Inktober list. Today's prompt is emotion. The channel Mad Art made a modified Inktober list for maladaptive daydreamers, and what we're doing on this channel is I'm just talking about the prompt word and how it relates to maladaptive daydreaming in general or for me, while I sketch on this dollar store drawing pad with my dollar store pen. Also, I can't draw. But that doesn't really matter. That's not what Inktober is all about. You don't have to be an artist. So maladaptive daydreaming is, or at least can be, a very emotional experience. It's right there in the description of what maladaptive daydreaming is. It's affect laden, they call it. That's a little too sideways. There have actually been a couple of studies done on maladaptive daydreaming and emotion, more specifically emotional regulation, which is exactly what it sounds like. It's the ability to manage your emotions. And as expected, they found that maladaptive daydreamers have a problem with this and then end up using the daydreaming as a way to deal with that. They also found that regular immersive daydreamers sort of have an issue with it as well, which I'm not sure they were expecting to find, and I'm not sure why. And it wasn't as obvious as it was with the maladaptive daydreamers. It was, slightly less, but it was still there. So it might just be an immersive daydreamer thing, like across the board, whether you're maladaptive or not. Something you need to be on the lookout for. Other ways that it messes with your emotion is that, like, maladaptive daydreamers get so into it and have such an emotional connection to their characters that reality sort of takes a back seat. And what can end up happening is you feel like you have better connections and relationships with imaginary people than you do with people in your actual real life who you are supposed to love or want to love or who love you. And it can lead to these really distressing feelings of detachment and guilt, and is a big source of the distress and dysfunction that maladaptive daydreamers report. So, regardless of how great and wonderful your fantasy life might feel, you actually do have to live and survive in reality. And when you come back to that, you find that it's all messed up. You're kind of numb. You're not experiencing what you feel you should be experiencing in an appropriate way. And you end up with the dreaded crash. This horrible, sad longing for your daydreams, the realization that they are not real and never will be real, and that your actual reality is not good. It doesn't feel right. It's not living up to what it should be, and everything's just awful. And the crash is really, really jarring. And people will do a lot to avoid it, including go straight back to daydreaming. And nobody wants to feel that way, of course, so it sort of works against the daydreamer too, showing us that harsh truth doesn't make us buckle down and want to change. It makes us want to avoid the nasty feeling and not come back. So you end up kind of stuck in the middle here with all your emotions, the good and the bad, tied to a daydreaming experience instead of an actual experience. And the real you is just kind of, it takes a lot to break out of. And these emotional, humps, I think, are really the crux of what makes maladaptive daydreaming so difficult, not just to overcome, but to even accept that it's something you might need to overcome. There's almost no maladaptive daydreamer I have met. Well, I take that back. There's a few who wants to completely get rid of daydreaming altogether. Most of them just want control. They want to have their cake and eat it too, which I understand. I want that too. Where they can keep the good aspects of the daydreaming and just get rid of the maladaptive aspects. It's just not a tidy little box, though. It's all tied up together, messing with other things, messing with your emotions, which apparently you're not good at regulating anyway. So part of the key to success might be figuring out how to do that. 'Cause nobody wants to be this guy in the middle here. You know, you don't want to be tied to these other masks and just be pulled along and not know what to do with them. You want to be able to, you want to be holding them in your hands, be able to be switch between them, set them aside or put them on. So yeah, emotion's a big part of maladaptive daydreaming in a lot of ways. Maybe more ways than we would think, you know, on the surface. So we're going to leave that there for today. If you have thoughts on emotion and maladaptive daydreaming, emotion regulation and maladaptive daydreaming, you know, whatever, just stick it in the comments. Or better yet, grab some pens from the dollar store and do yourself a doodle. Tag it Maddtober and let Dr. Levi know how much we love him. See you tomorrow.